What if the simplest act, one that we often overlook, holds the key to unlocking profound change? What if simply observing could alter the very fabric of how you experienced yourself and how you experience life? Think about times when you witnessed a moment so clearly that it stayed with you, unshaken, like sunlight cutting through the fog. Observation on that level moves beyond seeing. It reveals, clarifies, and begins transformation. It's not passive, not just a glance at, like sunlight cutting through fog. Observation on that level moves beyond seeing. It reveals, clarifies, and begins transformation. It's not passive, not just a glance at life's surface, but a deep engagement with what is. And it all starts with noticing. I'm Mark Roach. Welcome to Transcendent, where we explore the landscape of inner work, venturing into what it truly means to be authentic. I built this platform from my own rich yet challenging past, shaped by an intricate web of experiences spanning the heights and depths of existence. It brings together wisdom from mystics, scientists, and seekers to inspire a life centered on transformation. Today, we're unpacking a concept introduced by Maurice Nicoll in Psychological Commentaries, Volume 4, taken from the transcript dated September 9th, 1950. Nicoll, whose teachings radiate the cumulative insights of Carl Jung, Peter Ouspensky, and George Gurdjieff, gives a profound yet practical tool for self-transformation. It's observation, not just as you've known it. When we talk about self-transformation, what comes to mind? Is it changing old habits? Becoming someone new? Well, these things are often at the forefront of our goals, yet Nicoll reminds us that real change doesn't start with efforting to be someone else. It starts with seeing who you really are already, truly seeing without excuses, without harsh judgment, criticism, without rushing or trying to fix or even needing to explain who you are. Observation, in Nicoll's view, is the first and perhaps most essential step for all inner work. Nicoll builds upon Gurdjieff's teachings that self-observation is a tool for awakening. Gurdjieff often described humanity as asleep, moving through life mechanically, unaware of deeper forces at play and around us. Observation disrupts that sleep, even if briefly. It's like a flashlight suddenly illuminating in a darkened room. But here's the catch. Even though this sounds simple, sustained observation is anything but easy. It demands attention, honesty, and a willingness to confront whatever comes up, whether it's even when it is uncomfortable, as it often is. What keeps most of us from observing ourselves? Well, it's often driven by resistance, driven by an ingrained attachment to our self-image. When you see yourself on film or you hear your voice, how do you react? How do you feel? For instance, we might see ourselves as kind, generous, or patient. But what happens when our reactions contradict those ideas? Observation forces us to see the gap between who we think we are and how we actually behave. This gap isn't a reason to despair, it's an invitation, a doorway to begin the work of closing that gap. Nicoll divides observation into two key realms. First, there's the observation of inner states. This means noticing your own thoughts, emotions, and impulses without interfering. For example, notice the next time frustration arises. What triggers it? How does it feel physically? Where is it stored? In your chest? In your throat? Your stomach? Observation in this way doesn't seek to suppress. Instead, it seeks to understand to detach from reacting and move toward responding. The second realm of observation is our outer reactions, how we interact with the world and those around us. Nicole encourages us to watch our behavior as if we're standing just slightly outside of ourselves, not detached like robots, but with the same curiosity you might have when studying an intriguing play. How do you greet a friend? What tone do you use when speaking to a colleague? How do you react when something doesn't go the way you planned? These data points, collected with humility and sincerity, start to show patterns. And in those patterns, you begin to see yourself clearly. A common misstep, Nicole warns, is turning observation into judgment. This is neither helpful nor transformational. Judgment creates a narrative, a story, a fixing of identity. We label ourselves as failures or successes, bad or hopeless. Observation, by contrast, is fluid. It refuses to pin you down. It's not easy to sit with no identity as being a success or a failure, a winner or a loser. It's in this fluidity that makes transformation possible. Because once you stop labeling, you start shifting. Nicole also draws on Carl Jung's idea of the shadow to elaborate on why observation is so potent, powerful. For Jung, the shadow represents the parts of ourselves we don't or won't see, often because they clash with our morals, our sense of who we are, with this conditioned sense of an ideal self. Observation is often how we start to step into that shadow, bring light into that area that's hidden. It's only by acknowledging that these hidden parts of ourselves that we're resisting, that we begin to make them conscious and integrate them into a fuller expression of who we are. It doesn't mean we have to act out on them, but we just observe. This practice of observation ties deeply into the concept of self-remembering. That's a central pillar in Gurdjieff's work. Self-remembering isn't just noticing yourself as an outsider, it's also reconnecting with the deeper sense of being that often gets buried under distraction. It's observing not just your actions, but the you behind the actions. This pulls you into the present moment where life actually unfolds. Nicole's insights on observation are not abstract theories, they're intensely practical. He advises us to dedicate specific time to the practice, starting small, a few minutes a day, but with focused intention. Observe your thoughts while brushing your teeth, doing something routine or mundane. Watch your tone during a conversation. Notice how you feel when you're trying to be still. These moments add up, creating a mosaic of awareness that can change not only how you move in the world, but how the world moves in response to you. One of the most remarkable lessons from Nicole's teachings is that observation alone creates transformation. It's not observation combined with frantic change or effort. When you truly see something clearly, the seeing itself begins to shift it. For example, if you notice a habit of interrupting people in their conversation, watch how simply observing this habit reshapes your awareness. The next time you're tempted to interrupt, that self-awareness pauses and softens the impulse. This practice extends into deeper implications as well. By observing yourself, you also begin to see the essence of others more clearly. You stop projecting your assumptions and start to meet people as they are. Observation heals relationships as much as it transforms the self. But Nicole also cautions against turning observation into a weapon. Used wisely, it leads to humility. Used poorly, it can inflate the ego, creating a sense of superiority or domination because you're doing the work. True observation is sincere and grounded in a desire not to compare or to elevate, but to keep growing toward authenticity. What strikes me most about Nicole's writings on observation is their invitation to approach your life as a puzzle. It's not about forcing moves, it's about letting pieces fall into place by seeing them clearly for what they are. Life doesn't demand grand changes. It asks for clear seeing, honest understanding, and thoughtful, gradual shifts. I encourage you to begin with small steps. Sit for 5 minutes a day and just watch. Start with your breath, then your thoughts, then your emotions. Carry that awareness with you into your daily interactions. The power of observation lies not in its complexity, but in its capacity for profound simplicity. Through watching, you're not only transforming yourself, you're reawakening your presence in the world. I'm Mark Roach. This is Transcendent, wishing you all the best.